Hey, this is Mrs. Reichelt, and we're moving into the different functions of the digestive system. So the major functions of the digestive system are listed on this slide. You have ingestion, propulsion. Propulsion occurs in a couple of different ways. You have peristalsis and segmentation. There's a couple more that we're going to go through, so we'll just go ahead and get started. So I think this first one is pretty self-explanatory. Ingestion just means that you need to be able to have a way to get food into your mouth. So that's ingestion. Propulsion is a little bit more complicated. Propulsion, it has to do with the moving of foods from one region of the digestive system to another, and that occurs in two different ways. The first one I think we've already talked about if you've watched some of the other videos on the digestive system, but peristalsis is the alternating waves of contraction and relaxation, and it basically squeezes food along the GI tract. Segmentation is a new one. We haven't talked about this one yet. This is the moving of materials back and forth with the aid of mixing in the small intestine. So basically, hopefully you've heard the saying 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That's basically what segmentation is. It means that you have chyme that moves forward and then it moves back. And then it moves forward again, and then it moves back. And the reason this occurs this way is because it allows for the maximum amount of nutrient absorption to occur in your small intestine. A couple of the other functions of the digestive system include food breakdown. So food breakdown occurs as mechanical digestion. Mechanical is sort of the physical breakup of food. So examples of mechanical digestion would be mixing food in the mouth with your tongue, or the churning of food in the stomach, or segmentation in the small intestine. So it's the actual physical breakdown. Mechanical digestion prepares food to be further degraded by chemicals. Then this one is the chemical breakdown. So you have physical or mechanical and chemical breakdown. Chemical breakdown uses chemicals. Hopefully that makes sense. You use your enzymes that break down food molecules into their building blocks. And then each of your major food groups uses a different type of enzyme. So carbohydrates are broken to simple sugars, proteins are broken into amino acids, and then fats are broken into fatty acids or another type of alcohol. So you use different enzymes to break each of these down, and they're also broken down in different digestive organs as well, which we're going to go ahead and talk about now. So I'm going to show you a couple of these little diagrams, and the big takeaway from these is really not to have them memorized, but to kind of be aware of the site of action. So this is the basic pattern of how carbohydrates are absorbed. So once a carbohydrate is in your mouth, you have salivary amylase that does the work. Salivary amylase will help to break down starches. You also are going to have small intestine will break down sugars as well, and the small intestine helps to break down lactose, maltose, sucrose, galactose, fructose, and glucose. These are the disaccharides. So the oligosaccharides and disaccharides, all of these, when you're answering some of your questions, these are disaccharides. And then these ones are your monosaccharides. So hopefully it makes sense that it's going to break it into from a larger substance into smaller ones. So these are disaccharides, they'll break them into monosaccharides. The big takeaway is that the carbohydrate digestion occurs at the mouth. Then we have protein digestion. So protein digestion is actually going to begin at the stomach. If you're eating any kind of protein, the mouth is not responsible for starting that digestion. You're going to start at the stomach first, where pepsin is involved. Pepsin, with the presence of HCl, helps to break down those large polypeptide bonds and the polypeptides that you're eating. The small intestine also breaks down your proteins as well. And then we get to fat absorption. So fat absorption is going to start in the small intestine because you're going to use that bile that's, remember, produced in the liver but stored in the gallbladder and used in the duodenum. So basically you have your carbs. That breakdown is going to start in your mouth. Then you have protein. Protein digestion is going to start in the stomach. And then the last one are fats or lipids, and that's going to start in the small intestine. So just be aware of where each of these is going to be broken down. Then we have absorption. Absorption is the end product of digestion. So all of the materials need to be absorbed into the blood or the lymphatic system, or lymph is that fluid. And then food must enter the mucosal cells and then into the blood or the lymph capillaries. And then the last part of the digestive system is defecation. So defecation is just the elimination of the indigestible substances from the GI tract, and it's in the form of feces. And then this is kind of a quick summary diagram of all of the major functions. So the ingestion's that first step. You have mechanical digestion that occurs in the form of chewing or churning or segmentation. Then you have chemical digestion that is going to occur basically in all over the place, but it's kind of showing it in the stomach, small intestine, and large intestine. And then we have the pharynx, the esophagus. Propulsion can occur with peristalsis and segmentation. It's just the movement of food. And then absorption is when you actually get the food stuff into the blood or the lymph vessels. So that's basically the major functions of the digestive system, and I hope you found that helpful.